welcome to our brand new studio here with our first guest in this new studio. Will you introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Lexi. I'm from where Kevin is from, near Chicago in America.
We're neighbors. We're neighboring states. What is it, a 5-6 hour drive?
4.
4 hour drive, okay.
Yeah. Close.
So you're Lexi and you're from the state of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And what was your life like in America?
So I actually lived a little bit in California, so I really like the West Coast. But I was going to school in Wisconsin. I just got my bachelor's degree, and then I was working at a snowboard hill. So it was really open, so that's why I decided to travel, and I started in Africa and pretty much spent a whole year here, and mostly in Morocco, North Africa. I did a little bit of South Africa for a month, and then I went to Nepal, got my yoga teacher training, and then traveled Europe for the summer, and then landed myself in Morocco, stayed here for 11 months. It's been almost a year.
So this is in 2019, you left the USA, you said to travel after working on the snowboard hill.
Yeah, and school.
And school, of course. So you went and did your yoga teacher training in India? Or Nepal?
Nepal, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Before we get into a little bit of yoga, you said you came to Morocco in September was when you arrived to Morocco?
Yeah, September. Beginning of September. 2019.
And that was your first time in Africa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, well, I was in South Africa in April
okay.
2019. Yeah, and Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe. But first time in North Africa. Mm-hmm.
So you've traveled quite a bit then, more than I have in Africa, that's for sure. And when you arrived to Morocco in September, before you came, what had you heard about Morocco? Why did you come here?
Yeah, so I have a really good childhood friend who is half Moroccan, half American. She was telling me a little bit about TAGHAZOUT and how there's like a really good yoga surf village, pretty much tourist village that I could really see myself being there. And so once she kind of enticed me or told me about it, I really wanted to check it out and see if I could start a life here, and then I did.
Cool.
Yeah,
So Moroccan American recommended you go to TAGHAZOUT and you check out the yoga scene there, because you did your training in Nepal 2019 or
yes.
Okay, so you're looking to work as a yoga teacher.
Yeah, so I worked in TAGHAZOUT, Morocco for about 5 months teaching yoga.
Was that the first time you taught yoga?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was in Morocco, so nowhere else.
Did you find a job right away? Did you come here with a job lined up?
Actually, my first job ended up being aerial yoga. Mm-hmm. So I was not necessarily trained in aerial yoga, but so pretty much what it is a hammock. You have like this sling that you hang on. It's like hung on like a ceiling. Yeah, it's like a piece of clothing or fabric. And then you hang on that and you go upside down, and I learned about this job and I thought, oh gosh, like I don't know anything about aerial yoga, so I just started doing research. I taught myself how to do it within like a couple of weeks, and then they hired me on and I had a full-time position.
Wow.
So it was my first time teaching yoga, and it ended up being in Morocco doing aerial yoga.
I had no idea you weren't doing aerial before. Wow.
Yeah, no, I've never, yeah.
Interesting. So, you arrived to Morocco. What city did you fly into?
Marrakech.
Marrakech.
I came from Germany, Bavaria to Marrakech.
Mm-hmm. Munich to Marrakech?
Kempten.
Kempten to Marrakech. And did you spend any time in Marrakech?
Yeah, yep, actually that's where my friend lives. She's teaching English
The
there.
Moroccan-American childhood friend.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I stayed there for about a week, I believe, at Boho Hostel, if anybody wants to go there. It's really fair.
Sounds
it's really
fancy.
nice. And then I took a bus to TAGHAZOUT with all my belongings, or half of them, and then got the job. So then I had a place to stay, a new family, and a new job.
So what were your first impressions when you arrived to TAGHAZOUT? Marrakech is a big city, but when you drive down that little road to TAGHAZOUT, what thoughts were going through your head when you were first seeing TAGHAZOUT?
First seeing TAGHAZOUT, okay, well, I love the ocean, so I was very excited about the ocean. And then I also noticed it was very dry. It was super dry. But I was so okay with it because of the sun. I mean, I'm from somewhere that's extremely cold and pretty much dark for like 5 months out of the year. So being in TAGHAZOUT was pretty much like a paradise for me. Also saw that it was really similar to California, like where I lived on the West Coast in America. It was honestly, it reminded me a little pieces like of home, of what I like in the US, that I decided to stay in TAGHAZOUT. And even though it was a little bit of a different job, I really stuck it out and wanted to stay here. I met some really cool yoga friends like you and Andrea. And that just having that community of like yoga people and people who like to surf and people who are staying in the area for a longer period of time rather than just like leaving right away was kind of what like held me here. It made me feel like home.
Yeah, there is a community of yoga teachers here because there's that demand for teaching, and there's very few native Moroccan yoga teachers. Have you taught any Moroccans in your yoga classes?
I'm trying to think. I did in Dahkla when I feel like I taught a few people like more like a freelance. But I actually didn't, in my classes, there was really never any native or local people besides, once again, like outside of classes, just doing it on a personal level. Or inviting them into a hostel, I would have guest Moroccans, but otherwise, yeah, it was mostly tourism. People coming from different countries, like Germany, France, America sometimes. Honestly, everywhere in Europe and Russia. It was really interesting to not ever teach yoga before, teaching it aerial and then teaching with all different kinds of people. This was
languages and understandings.
Yeah.
I could count on a hand how many Moroccans I've had come to my classes. I think it's about 5. Yeah. Spoiler alert, we'll get to Dahkla in the future. Right now we're in TAGHAZOUT.
We're in TAGHAZOUT now.
Yeah. And right now we're actually in Tamarat recording this.
Yeah.
But in order for us to record this, we had to have met. How did we meet?
At Acroyoga.
At Acroyoga.
That, or we did an anatomy class with Scott.
I think before that you had been to Acro class.
I think I was trying to get there. I don't know. Either way, this is when we held to the bond.
Okay. Yeah, so we met in Acroyoga, or she said an anatomy workshop. There was a teacher, yoga teacher of like 30 years coming through here and offering a workshop to the community of yoga teachers here. So we're trying to be better at our profession, learning. So we met there, we bonded, and I continued having acro yoga classes. And one day her dad came to Morocco. This is midwestern man, just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Morocco. Yeah. So I try to imagine my dad here, but he doesn't leave the country. I don't know. He goes sometimes, but tell me about your dad's experience here in Morocco. When did he come here?
He came, okay, so when did he come? I think he came at the end of February, or maybe in January even. So it was when it was winter where I'm from, so he was very thankful when he showed up in the desert, pretty much. So he was very happy about the sun, but it was his first time being out of the continent. You know, he's been outside of the U.S. and Canada, Mexico, but not the same. It's not the same coming across the sea. Yeah, I mean, he took one for the team because he doesn't really like to fly. And he's never done anything like that before. So I think he was surprised when he came here, a little bit angsty, a little bit anxious. All sorts of different feelings came about.
Culture shock, I think, is very natural whenever we travel anywhere. It's gonna be different, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Traveling is Terence McKenna. Do you know what Terence McKenna is?
No.
He's like an ethnobotanist scientist, and he said traveling is like a drug. It really completely changes your consciousness, your sense of where you are, you know?
Yeah, your whole mentality, like what you're supposed to be focused on. I feel like in the US, like you already have such like a comfortable way of life, and that's so my dad. He has everything. He knows what he eats each day, you know, but then when you get placed into a total different environment, you're like survival mode. You're like, what do I do? Where am I going? Who is everybody? Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like it. But I think having been traveling for like almost 7 months, I was used to it by then. And then when my dad showed up, it was totally taken out right away. And it's interesting to see, because I probably reacted the same way like about a year ago. But yeah,
Dad was. But for my family at home, listen, he doesn't fly. He made it to Morocco.
Yeah.
Did he like the food? Did he like the food?
Yeah. He liked the chicken. He liked the meat. Kefta. Oh, yum, kefta.
Yeah. He missed his cheese, probably. Midwestern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Man, cheese and beer.
We ended up eating out to cheese and beer. Actually, he doesn't like beer.
Okay.
Not a drinker. Maybe pretty... Could adapt into the culture a little bit more.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, he liked the meat.
Perfect. Yeah, he's very open-minded. He came to an Acroyoga class, and he just watched, and then he came to another one, and he was flying, and see if we get any videos or pictures from that still. I lost a lot of those photos, but maybe we get those, so thank you.
I'll bring those to you.
Lexi's father for coming to class, being open-minded, and making it to Morocco. Well done. Round of applause for him. That was so cool. When he came to Acroyoga class and tried it, it was really, really awesome.
I was so happy he came out of his show. Yeah.
He did great. And then we said goodbye. You were to travel, right? You stopped working in TAGHAZOUT. Mm-hmm. You left your impression in TAGHAZOUT, right?
Yeah, yep. Yes, I did.
On the walls and hearts and minds of everybody.
People, just everything, yeah.
So if you're in TAGHAZOUT, there's a mural there. Can you tell them about how you did that?
Yeah, so at Atlantis Surf Shop, I would recommend going there if you need to rent any boards or anything. If I can say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
But there, Omar is the owner, and he was talking about wanting some of his walls to be painted. And I told him I really like to paint, and I would love to paint it just as a hobby. So then I started painting every day, and whenever I wanted to surf, I was able to borrow a board from the shop, and then I could just go surfing. So then I was just painting, surfing, and yoga. And
good deal.
Yeah, so we ended up, actually the mural took a lot longer than I expected because it was like the first time I ever did like a huge mural. So, yeah, so it took like weeks, and more people, like the longer I did it, would come in and be like, hey, I want to paint. Ended up being like this community project that everyone came in, and yeah, it was super neat. So, and I ended up making really good friends with the owner, Omar, and yeah, I'll probably go see him this week soon too. But the painting's there. It's got many murals on it.
Cool. It kind of reminds me of like the Huck Finn story where he's painting the fence and he convinces the other person it's really fun to paint it, and they just paint it and you go surfing. I'll paint your wall, and all the other people start, and you just surf the whole time.
Like, whoa, look at that. Like, and then I just love it because it really does leave a mark. Like, go take pictures of it, and you're just going to be just as happy as when I was painting it. So
Yeah, it's really cool. I took a picture of it and posted it on my Instagram, not knowing she had been involved in this painting. Because you lived in TAGHAZOUT, I was in Tamawanza, so we didn't see each other too much. But
Acro.
so I didn't know she was working on this project in TAGHAZOUT. I posted the picture and she goes, "Hey, I did that." I go, "Wow, that's really cool." So I want to share that story about TAGHAZOUT. Back to Dad comes, and we're saying goodbye. You had left your job, your life in TAGHAZOUT. What was your plan then?
After that, so I mean, right before my dad got there, I ended up traveling not most of Morocco, mostly northern Morocco, a little bit in the east as well.
Name some cities, give some shout outs.
Yeah, so Ouarzazate,
Moroccan Hollywood.
or like Merzouga, yeah.
Merzouga, desert.
Chefchaouen, Fez, Meknes. I believe that's a good portion of it.
That's a good portion, okay.
Yeah, and then
What happened?
yeah, and like Zira, sorry, there's just so many beautiful places in Morocco.
Okay, there was more. I didn't know. I wanted to let you off the
Tons
hook.
more. I just forget. Like, wow, this whole place.
How long did you travel for?
About a month.
Okay.
Just like we had a car and everything.
So this was February into March, and then
and then so I was planning on going to. So my friend arrived and we climbed Tubkal together, and then right after that, we were planning on going to Dahkla, West Sahara, but we started to realize that the pandemic was going to be shutting things down, politically wise or like in borders, and so like on the day that everything shut down, for some reason, we still decided to go to Dahkla, West Sahara, and so we made it there after about 3 or 4 days of traveling. And once we arrived, everything just closed, and we just kind of...
Wasn't a bad spot to be, though. At this time, Dahkla had like 0 cases, like...
Yeah.
Still has probably, I don't know the stats, but...
50 maybe now.
50 now, okay, a
maybe
little bit
less,
more.
I don't know. Before it was 0 to 4. For like the first 3 months now. Just lately, the second wave is causing it a little bit higher, but...
So Dahkla, I had heard from people that lived there that said there's not much going on there. It's kite surfing, but if you don't kite surf, she had spent months there. She was also a yoga teacher with her partner there, so I'd heard rumors of Dahkla. It's a very nice place, but maybe not somewhere you want to be long term, depending on what you're into. You made it to Dahkla. We have lockdown. Where are you? Like, okay, I was here. I had an apartment. I was living and working here. And where did you go in Dahkla?
Yeah, so my friend and I, we realized. So my plan was to teach yoga in Dahkla, Morocco, or West Sahara. Oh my bad. And since the pandemic closed everything down, tourism pretty much shut off, I realized, wow, I don't have much money. Where am I going to stay? I'm a tourist. How am I going to pay for anything? I didn't set anything up. So my friend and I, we had a tent though, and we knew of some people at this campsite that was a little bit outside of the town. It's called 25. So if you ever have a chance to go there, I would recommend it. But we ended up camping there because this was pretty much the only place where there were still people, and we wanted to have at least... Also, this was the only place where I had water, like actual water where you can like refill and make sure,
Important in the desert.
Important, yeah. So we were like, okay, this is going to be our home for a while. We met up with a few people who are also camping there, and then we pretty much created like our own family because there were only about 3 other, or maybe about like 5 European campers, and then maybe like another like 5 Moroccan or Sahrawi campers, like in big tents. But then the longer we stayed there, more and more people would show up or leave. So either way, we ended up creating a family of like 7 people, and kind of like ate dinner every night, and made like our own haima, or like giant tent out of garbage or like tarps, pretty much.
You speak about family. There's something else I want to ask you about. You told me you went to a rainbow gathering here in Morocco. What is a rainbow gathering? Can you? Most people have no idea what this is, so tell me what the Rainbow Family Rainbow Gathering is, what it's doing in Morocco.
So the Rainbow Family that was in Morocco was near Merzouga, by Algeria on the east, and this is where I went during the month of traveling. This is basically where a group of people come out of the society and kind of form like their own family or like their own society in a way outside of like a regular community. We kind of just create a whole new community outside of the community. And I mean, this was the first time I ever went to one, and what was different about it. So we made a fire every night. We ate lunch and dinner together. We had to have like special duties. People were assigned to tasks in a very leisure, relaxed way. If you didn't get something done, it's fine. And then there's also a lot of workshops, so you can learn a lot from other people who are also looking to just learn from people who might not be technically like in this box, you know, someone who kind of wants to learn a little bit more outside of the box, will come here and like teach each other. So there was like plant workshops, like games, just like being able, like a women's and men's circles, stuff like this. It was really, really neat. And this is where I met some of the guys that I was camping with in Dahkla, West Sahara.
Yeah, I like those hippie festivals where they have like classes and workshops so you can learn things.
Yeah.
One class was like how to make ice cream in a bag. I really like that. I remember that. It's like an illumination station at Shangri-La in Minnesota.
Oh, cool.
Harmony Park.
That's awesome.
But those were good days. A lot of those people go to rainbow gatherings and stuff. I think it started in the USA.
Yeah, it started in the USA, and it's honestly everywhere, like in every country. It's really cool that it's in Morocco as well. I know that they try to do it every year. This year it happened to be in February, so if you happen to, you can see it on Facebook, or if you happen to hear about it and you want to check it out, once again, I would recommend it.
So, yeah, she's talking about her family in Dahkla. I've seen similar families in camps around here, just trucks that park all next to each other.
Yeah.
It was eerie. I remember seeing like just these groups of trucks. Like a lot of them are kind of sketchy looking graffiti and stuff. You might have seen one in the rear video. It looks like a Mad Max vehicle, and there's a whole caravan of these, and the people are covered in dreads and tattoos, and it's like it's totally post-apocalyptic Mad Max vibes a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Techno blaring, and
yeah,
it's quite hectic.
Sounds like the free techno party too. There's some free techno parties in Morocco.
Yeah, there's some parties underground Morocco, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and the campsite that we were at was an RV site. It wasn't just tents.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there was really few people who camped there in tents, because I mean, Dahkla is constantly windy. If you are not prepared, it's good to have a strong tent, or your tent will get destroyed by the wind and the sun. Like everything became destroyed.
Yeah, Dahkla, not for wimpy tents or people, I would say.
Yeah, this is funny.
The wind was definitely a challenge in Dahkla. you told me about, there wasn't even a store when I was telling her about our experience here in Tamarat, there's multiple shops. Tell us how you would get your stuff at this campsite.
Yeah.
Your survival needs, your stuff.
Yeah, so since we got there the day that everything shut down, the one thing is at this campsite you could kite surf. The people who were camping there were all kite surfers, but they actually shut that down too, similar to how we couldn't surf in TAGHAZOUT. And so when they started shutting the kite surfing down, they also started shutting down the whole city, and we couldn't go into the city to get food. So we were everyone kind of started to freak out because they're like, well, we're outside of the city in the desert. Like, how are you going to take away our ability to get food? So then once they heard, that we were angry, they started to bring trucks pretty much, like as grocery stores. And we would buy food from these trucks, I guess, as a store. It was like a moving store.
Did you walk into the truck, or is it open up its side?
No, yeah, they brought out crates with vegetables and stuff.
Like a mobile souk.
Yeah, like a mobile souk. Sometimes they didn't show up though, and it was really interesting. But we got away.
It didn't show up sometimes. Really interesting.
It was kind of like a random thing, when it showed up, we kind of like had like sparks of like, oh wow, look at what we can do today. Like shop at the food truck that just arrived.
Meanwhile, I'm walking down the street and getting popsicles. We were spoiled here in Tamarat.
Popsicles?
We had popsicles one during popsicles. And
I wish, man.
Yeah, we feel very spoiled now after hearing these stories from Dahkla in the desert. Yikes. So those struggles... Seems like getting food from the truck and family life. Of course, we all have families. We know that's complicated. Family of strangers, they become your family because things happen, right? And things. We try and keep it PG on this channel, right? I don't think you've sworn. You're doing good, but family matters and families have issues, so.
Yeah.
I think anytime we're quarantined or stuck together, it becomes like this. It's not natural. We should be able to leave and go, and
Yeah. Like even families that are normally always positive are gonna have problems. So when you put together a group of strangers who, during the pandemic, who don't really know much about each other and have to like dance to try to learn about each other in this time, it's a really interesting experience, and you really do learn a lot about yourself, because you're learning so much about other people, and
I think we all learned a lot about ourselves during this quarantine, because when you're forced to stay at home, it's especially a lot of us were in more of an isolation situation. People are often mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves back to us, you know what I mean? So if you put yourself and you have these annoying aspects of yourself, I'm not calling you annoying, anyone annoying, but it amplifies because people reflect these parts of you back to yourself. So whether you're in isolation and you were looking within and spending your time there, or you're in close quarters with people, I think we all learned a little bit about ourselves, like a magnifying glass, this time in a Corona petri dish. Mm-hmm. So there were challenges. What were some positives? How did you spend your time? What did you learn?
Yeah, some positives. Well, I would have to say number one was learning how to kite surf.
That's cool.
I think it was after a month and a half, we just kind of started to kite surf. Like, I don't think we were told exactly we could, but we just kind of went for it. And then it was all okay, actually. Everyone started just slowly be able to kite surf, and things started to open back up. And that was kind of when I decided, I'm going to be here for a little bit longer. It takes a little bit to try to get out of the situation. So I bought all the kite gear, and I took some lessons. I had amazing friends who were kite surf instructors stuck there as well, who were all for teaching me how to kite surf. A really good community of kite surfers, and so I was able to do that every day pretty much about 2 months into the quarantine. And then also just like being with the family really was a positive. Really experiencing different cultures and like living with different cultures and kind of being in a somewhat stressful environment and like having to really become vulnerable with each other was really positive for me. I think I just learned a lot about, you know, why is it that I am, you know, stuck in this garbage tent in Dahkla, West Sahara. Like, what is this? Like how did I get here? You know? So I felt like, yeah, it was just a really good community. And the people there, like at the RV site, were just extremely helpful. Everyone was so friendly, and like we were all in the same situation, relatively the same, obviously much different, but so it was really helpful. I saw many people who maybe wouldn't exactly help somebody who might be, you know, some hippie living in a tent, actually become really kind of break down those boundaries and like help everybody. People started coming together and having like feasts. Like we would have big food gatherings, and there were times where we even bought a goat, and we slaughtered the goat and then all ate and barbecued this goat and had parties.
All in one night you ate the goat?
Yeah, pretty much. We
wow.
had
Parties.
People.
Oh, you told me they started making some moonshine, some Dahkla mehia or something.
This is another plus, yeah. So in our tent, we had a German guy start making
Always
wine.
The Germans.
Yeah, and we started making wine out of juice, sugar, and yeast, and we had like 7 or 8 bottles of these 5-liter water jugs. Of wine. Like we would fall asleep all
we
together.
had liquor stores in Agadir.
Yeah, you had liquor stores you could go to. What the heck?
Okay, we were roughing in Dahkla.
Yeah, we would like, we made this huge tent, and there were nights where we ended up all just like falling asleep in this big tent, and we just kind of had like cuddle puddles. But there would be like 8 5-liter bottles of wine next to us, so it would just smell like yeast and fermentation. And then eventually, the whole RV campsite ended up like creating this wine. It was really cool, yeah, because we couldn't go into the store in the city, so everyone just started to make this wine. It's like a brewer.
It was a thing then. It wasn't just like it caught on in the community.
We had parties, yeah.
It's like a
camping party.
For those are the rainbow people. They're teachers, you know. They bring their revolutionary methods to get wine to the people of Dahkla. From the truck store. Yeast supposed to be for bread, but we make wine with it. It's okay. I mean, you're stuck in the desert.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, another positive, because there's so many positives to this experience, was the place, Dahkla. It was absolutely so beautiful. Like, it is where the West Sahara meets the ocean, and it's nothing that I've ever seen before. Someone who loves ocean in the West Coast, and then someone who also loves to camp in the desert. Combine that, and it felt like a literal dream. Let me tell you, like a literal dream. I woke up and I felt like I had like landed on an island, and I was just stuck on this island. Like it just felt like paradise. Like a place to be quarantined that already is pretty much in solitude or already pretty much silent was, it really uplifted me, and I think everyone there. So it was cool.
Like you said, it was a dream. So how did you wind up in that tent? You dreamt it. It was some part of your process. When we're dreaming, sometimes we don't put all the details in, and we gotta be really careful about that, you know? You gotta really be clear with what you want and steer your life in that way. You know, dream with care, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're in a place, and I think the only thing that would be better than that is if you had like a permaculture setup, you know, isolated, quiet. This is what I was thinking in Tamrat. If we had like the permaculture style, you had all your food there, you had your nuts, you had things preserved.
This would be incredible.
This would be a dream. I'm sure some people on the planet experience this. Probably a very, very small percentage, but there's probably some people I know one place like that in Spain. Yeah, El Cortillo near Granada, and it's like that dude was probably just chilling up there. He had his acreage, he had his orchards, gardens, everything you'd want to drink or smoke or whatever. Like you could find it in the mountains of Spain.
There's not much you could really cultivate in a garden in the desert, so we definitely didn't have that.
It's tough, you know. So we gotta find those golden spots where a community can thrive that works in harmony and balance. Hippies doing cuddle puddles and stuff. People have no idea what that is. So, you know,
we can keep it that way.
Okay. Yeah, we're not doing anything. We're rolling. Camera's rolling. We're live. You know. So positives you say outweigh the challenges. Any darkness you found in Dahkla? Did you break down and cry at least once?
Oh wow. I think I broke down and cried maybe once a week. Not always, but yeah, there was a few times that I think I became physically ill, and those are mostly the times when I would break down and cry. But otherwise, the times where I felt really healthy, I kept up with my yoga routine, kept up with my sleep, kept up with a positive diet, and also had healthy relationships within the community. This was really good. But yeah, definitely broke down, especially during times where the relationships kind of went a little bit, I don't know, crazy, because you're stuck in a tent together. Obviously could go do things, but which was actually really cool. So when things got a little bit murky or dark in the tent with all the people getting stuck together, it was nice because quarantining was easy, where we didn't get stuck. We could easily walk outside in the sand, go to the beach, and just sit there by ourselves, or go on a walk in the desert. So there was things that we could do to kind of keep us uplifted, but this was obviously after I had some breakdowns.
And we're on the way up and up now. Yeah. What are you excited for? We left Dahkla and now we're in Tamrat. Yeah. What's going on now? You're leaving, and spoiler alert, she's leaving.
Spoiler alert, I leave soon. I had a feeling that I was ready to leave the country. I had this feeling a while ago. Instead of going to Spain and working on a permaculture farm, it's a little bit hard or difficult to travel, but it's still possible, don't get me wrong. But I've decided personally to go back home and see my family. Actually, I haven't seen them in almost a year and a half now from all the traveling. So I'll fly out to New York on August 8th, and then there I'm very excited because I go on a 10-day backpacking trip in New Hampshire with a friend. Actually, the same friend who came with me to Dahkla. So it'll be good to kind of meet back up and, see, talk about what actually happened,
When did he get back to the States?
He left I think it was at the end of June.
One of the repatriation flights then?
Yeah. He left at the end of June, so it was about like 2 months, 2.5 months. And then after that, I'm excited to see my family and my bicycle. I think I'll make a truck. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna start to travel in a small car or something. And I'm excited for not knowing what's next. So.
Yeah, that was one of my goals for 2020. I wanted to get to June and have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd always been planning, like, this trip, book this ticket. Like, for example, when coronavirus happened, all the lockdowns, I missed, like, 6-7 flights got canceled of mine. Because I'm a busy man, you know. I'm going around, going to Spain, England, and it's supposed to go back to the USA. Yeah. So that's why we say stuck in Morocco, because I had all this planned, and in the end just surrendered to being here. But
yeah.
Yeah. Where was I going with that? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're excited to not know what's going
to happen. Yeah, to not know. 2020, my goal is June, not know and just be open to whatever. I think you're approaching that place of that excitement of not knowing where it'll go, and you have no idea. You're going to wind up in Dahkla, but you know you chose this, and this is how we got here. We always, for some degree, have decisions.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to go back to America during these times, but it's good to start something that you might be a little uncomfortable with and face your fears. So that's where I'm at.
One more question about the mural. What does it say on it?
So the first thing, there's a map of all of the surf spots in and around the Agadir region. So you can see all of the beaches labeled and kind of know like where they are relative to where you're standing. And then next to it there's a village of TAGHAZOUT. And then also, there's a Fatima's hand, and it says, "Everything essential is invisible" on it. And that's a quote from The Little Prince.
Who's The Little Prince?
The Little Prince is a small book that was recommended to me. And it's about actually a traveler who is traveling from his little planet that he has in the universe, and he's visiting all of these different planets that he starts to learn more about himself by understanding more about these different planets, and eventually he actually gets stuck in the West Sahara. Wow, I'm getting chills. And
you painted you wrote this?
No way! Before I
feel the chills too. I feel the chills too now. Wow.
And
whoa.
I know. And wow, I'm like really And so he gets stuck in the West Sahara. He meets a guy who helps him get back home, and he actually starts to understand why he really does need to get back home to his planet, and he needs to start to work on his planet a little bit more because it's so personable and like valuable to him and his life. So you can see that.
All right, then I'm just going to wish you a happy journey back to your planet. Thank you for joining me today in the Spacecast. We made it. Raise the Roof, thank you very much for joining us on today's adventure through Morocco, a little bit of Lexi's life, a little bit of hippie culture in Morocco, and may you all visit other planets, and remember that everything that is essential is invisible. Alhamdulillah.
Kashizian. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Shukran al Ajib. Throwing the Darisha we know at the end. And, we could have ended it at 44:20.
Oh, why?
Because it's a funny number. But we'll sign it off. We have 25 more seconds left of the Spacecast.
What are we gonna do?
Ship is crumbling down upon itself.
Whoa!
Watch the tea. Don't spill the
Dude,
tea.
drink the tea.
Don't spill the tea. Oh no, not the plants. We're destroying the plants. Demolition. The end.
Create and destroy